nation's wealth and still be begging for critical infrastructure. It's a hashtag that a lot of people retweeted. Presently we're doing some, I'll come to that. But what we're power, absolute power corrupt. So we must learn to give power to people that will be ready to listen to us, to people that will be ready to abide by the rules and regulations. We have powers, we have governors in the country, we have leaders in the country who the moment they step on the table, they break the table. So we must, it is about us, it's not about the leader. Not too long ago, the House of Rep came up with a bill on disease control. Nigeria has cried that this bill is too draconian, that this bill is obnoxious, that this bill is anti-people and demonic. And we came back. We sat down with the leadership. It was introduced by the Speaker and the Chairman of the Health Committee. And we told them, this bill is very good, but this area that the people are crying about, let's look at it. If you're carrying a baby and the baby is crying, please stop, look at the baby, what is happening? Why are you crying? So the Speaker in his wisdom, a bipartisan leader, look at it and say, okay, let us go for public hearing. And the public hearing is on now.
Certainly.
And those are some of the things I said that we are beginning to get our voice back. So our people back home, everywhere, every state, should look inward, elect leaders that will listen to them, that is one. And people should not be afraid to approach the court of law. If a decision is taken that is at the people, to seek redress.
Okay.
The governor of a state is not God. The governor of a state is not the constitution. The constitution is the ground norm. And once there's an amendment to the constitution, the powers will be devolved. We'll also look at it and say, how will this power be applied? So that somebody does not take the fact that now whatever you produce in Delta is for Deltas, is for you as the governor to manage or administrator to manage, and you turn it to your own. There must be checks and balances. Okay. I know that the houses of assembly at the state levels are really they are 90% speaking for governors. I've been there before. So it is whatever the governor wants that they do. So I think we should now talk to our representatives, starting from councillors.
Yes, so to
know that
take
we must stand for the people.
Okay.
I am in the house here.
Okay,
I am a minority, but I speak my voice anytime.
Which is
yesterday
good.
we had the opportunity of
Quality
speaking
representation.
with the
Thank you so much, Honorable Ben. If everybody will come out and speak the truth like you and of course act, I'm sure that things will improve in this country. Now, Samasi Ship is going to ask you a question very quickly.
Honorable, good morning and happy Democracy Day. I think the only thing we can talk about now is to say congratulations to Nigerians because we have had 21 years of unbroken democracy. That is the only thing we can say we have gotten from this democratic experience. I just like to add that synergy between you and other members from Delta State will be a good deal if you work together. Because the other day I saw Honorable Thomas Eroitomi presenting this bill over this casualization and this NNPC thing. I just like to ask, where are we on that matter? Because I see a clear case of conspiracy against us by the elites of this country. One can but say that whatever happened there, where people now started giving a new acronym to NNPC to be Northern Nigerian Petroleum Company. Because if you look at what the outcome, the result of the interview supposedly said to have been conducted, and the product, and the people that emerged from the process, led people with that impression that whether NNPC suddenly become Northern Nigerian People's Company. So I'd like to know, where we are on that matter, because silence, they say, is golden, and I don't know whether there are hopes, because the people on a daily basis are on some of our necks who they believe have opportunity to speak to people like you. And so I would like to know where we are on this matter.
Okay.
Yes, fortunately, like you said, I started it, and the day I was with the Speaker, and myself and Honorable Thomas went to the Speaker to get because before you bring in a motion, especially that of urgent matter, urgent public importance, Mr. Speaker should know, so that House Committee on Public Petitions yesterday how far it has gone, because the motion says that they should stop whatever they are doing. And again, that brings us to bear on the fact that we need leaders that can really speak to us, not just at the state level, but at the national level. Because when there's little we can do, our role as legislators, one, to speak, to represent; two, for oversight; and number three, to make laws. And when you do those constitutional ones and they are not enough, you go outside. Somebody criticized me on Twitter some days ago that why will I say, Mr. Speaker, I beg you, do this for me. I said, well, I appeal to him on a personal note that we need to. If today the Speaker is from Delta State, I know we will do more. But we need people at the national, we need voices, and we need to come out as a people. We cannot just sit in our cocoon in Delta State and want things done. We must cry out. The world must hear us. I don't care what it means, whether to empower the system so that the system we know, because the way we are, the country we are, whether you like it or not, is tilted towards a region in this country as if it's their birthright. We are the goose that lay the golden egg.
And we are suffering.
And if we don't fight for it, if we don't come out, if we don't speak,
okay.
we'll remain there.
Okay, and that means from what Matthew asked now, you are working in synergy as
we are on it. We're
members from Delta State.
We're working together.
You're working together as members from Delta State.
Yes.
We have a common interest.
Yes.
Which
it's
we are
common
working.
interest. There's no party.
Okay, there's no
party. As far as I'm
party.
concerned, there's no party. The interest of Delta State comes first.
Comes first. Okay. That's very good.
Thank
I
you
want to
very
say a
much,
big
yes.
thank you. We're impressed with what you're doing. I want to say a big thank you. When we saw the bridge, I saw it on the news. I was shocked because I have not passed there for some time. And I was happy that you raised that motion in the House. But you raised it like a personal, request. And I was wondering, why is it personal? Why do you have to make it personal?
Quickly, February 6th, 2020, I raised the motion on that matter of urgent public importance because the bridge was already giving way. And from February till 3 weeks ago, nothing has been done, though I've been reaching the ministry, trying to reach them. So I came under personal explanation.
Okay.
Personal explanation to tell them that there's a resolution of this House which have not been respected. And that this can lead to agitation because look at the flow station, Panoshen in Ovade, and where that bridge is located. The oil is passing, is going, but our bridge we cannot go. And there are relevant sections 14 and 15 of the Constitution provide for the government to provide infrastructure for free movement of goods and services for the people. And again, the essence of government, as per Section 14 of the Constitution, is that the responsibility of government is to secure the lives and property of the people.
Yeah.
And if the government has failed us to provide the basic necessities of governance and to my people, and if the bridge cut into it, it means that we'll get nothing.
Yeah.
It means we have lost it all.
So from now,
It means
if the bridge has been attended to now,
So
is the bridge been attended to now?
Yes, there are two bridges. The two bridges have been awarded. That's the one before Amokwe has been awarded. The one in Ogaramosoga has been awarded.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for, I spoke to the contractor some days ago. He needs to be in Abuja to finalize the processes, civil service and their bureaucracy. So by the grace of God, all things being equal, those two bridges will be attended to in no distant time. They've been awarded.
Okay.
I think the one of the Ethiop, they call it Ethiop Bridge here. That the contractor is mobilized to fight any moment from now because he's gotten the engineering order.
Okay.
Then the one of the Ogaramosoga is left for him to come and finalize his processes so that he can mobilize to fight.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want to say a big thank you, Honorable Benny Bakwa, for being part of the program today. Maybe we'll continue with you next Friday if you have the time. We'd like you to speak with us again next Friday so that you tell us the way forward. We'd like to hear more. The way forward is democracy. We'd like to hear more from you and as regards your people as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We're quite impressed here in the studio. I want to say anything to him again very quickly.
No, just to, Honorable, I'm also give it to you once again and to enjoin you to do more, and we pray God to grant you the grace to do so. And always keep your ears open to listen to the cry of your people, and as you stand in for them as well. Thank you.
I also like to commend you for letting Nigerians know that before now, Nigerians were signing contracts in Chinese language.
Oh my God.
And I don't know where that matter is right now.
Oh my God. Honorable Ben.
Thank you. See you next week.
Okay, Honorable Ben. Oh, it's good to have you on the program. Next Friday, please avail us your time to call
I'll
you
be available,
and
no
speak
problem.
with you again. Thank you so much. It's been Honorable Ben Ibakba calling in from Abuja, talking to us today on democracy. You've heard it all, some from him. He's a man that is accessible, open to his people, and is easily reached. And of course, is a vocal voice, and he has told us some truths that as a leader, you need to know that you're working for the people, not for yourself. So being a governor, being anybody in power doesn't make you a god. You are there to serve the people, and so serve you must. I just hope that our politicians will hear this, because he has said so many of the truths. Okay, gentlemen, our time is up today because of the problem we had. So we couldn't really speak much about this. So many issues. We're talking about the school feeding program, talking about electricity, and he has said, I think I heard 2023 is when we have stable power for manufacturers. And I was wondering...
have they signed the contract with Siemens? Are they sure that Siemens is going to operate within is in agreement with the terms of the contract that has been drawn?
Anyway.
So please, Nigerians are bigger than that by now.
Okay, so very quickly before I let you go, what do you have to say to Nigerians? Very quickly, 30 seconds.
What do I do what?
Have to say to Nigerians today?
We have to keep our faith alive. We have to keep our hope alive. That somewhere, somehow, we will meet at the point where we all say hallelujah to God.
Okay.
Well, for me, I'm calling on Nigerians to speak out. You know, you cannot beat the child and stop him from crying. We've not been well governed over time, and we just keep mute. It doesn't help us anyway.
So we should speak.
We should speak out. One day we will get it.
Okay.
But keeping quiet is a no-no for me.
Oh. No. So Nigerians must wake up and speak, and then of course keep hope alive. I want to say big thank you to Sir Matthew Ishekure. He's a public affairs analyst, always coming on to talk to us here about issues concerning us. Thank you, and of course thank you to Pastor Idewo Egedegbe, Executive Director, Value Rebirth Center. Thank you as well, gentlemen, and happy Democracy Day.
Thank you.
All right, we have our Vox Pop, which we took from people across, the state, talking about democracy issues concerning Nigeria and the way forward. But we can't bring that to you now today because of our time. But next Friday, we'll bring that Vox Pop to you as regards June 12th. Nigerian issues cannot be discussed only one day. It doesn't start and stop on June 12th. It's a continuous one. So we'll bring you that next Friday, and of course with a call to Ben Ibakba and Sir Matthew Shekure. I'll be here next Friday. So I want to say big thank you to you all. All right, it's still morning watch. We'll just take 5 minutes. 5 minutes to allow our hygiene person who is in the studio to come up and just talk about hygiene for us today, and then we go on to give you the online learning. Just stay tuned. welcome again. It's Morning Watch this lovely Friday, and of course, we cannot stop talking about hygiene. It's something that we live with every day because it improves our health. And of course, I have my sister here in the studio, Ambassador Dr. Onyi Kimefuna. And today we're meant to talk about the kitchen and how to take care of our utensils. Very quickly, we'll just talk about that very briefly before we go today. Onyi, yes. Good morning, happy Democracy Day.
Thank you, my sister.
We're cooking for Nigerians today.
Happy Democracy. Yes, I was actually about to start cooking and giving food to everyone because on a day like this, the government should also consider, putting that kind of smile on our faces. But for us, we are here today looking at hygiene in the kitchen. Hygiene is something we cannot overemphasize. And then we know that our cutlery is one important tool that is used every day. So how do you get the dirt in between the fork? How do you get it out? When you are cooking with your fork, here has an inner with the rings. Are they properly kept clean? Anyway, not to worry. I'm sure next week we'll be able to do
justice to that.
Yeah.
And of course, we have this inscription here talking about the kitchen rules.
Yeah.
And I wonder if all of us have these kitchen rules and if everybody knows about these kitchen rules. Yeah. The kitchen rules. If you take it out, put it away. If you use it, wash it. If you spill it, wipe it. That is the cutleries. And then if you spill on the table, you have to wipe it. If you turn it out, that will be next Friday.
Yeah.
About just for us to know that we need to keep our kitchen clean and of course safe for us, because we also have kitchen accidents. We have accidents in the kitchen as well, so we need to know how to keep the kitchen clean and how to stay safe in the kitchen. Okay, thank you so much. Only on a day like this, what will you tell Nigerians is Democracy Day? Yes, we need to go.
Democracy, democracy, democracy. A beautiful day that we all need to enjoy and know that we are being governed well. But today the story is different because I know that in some other parts of the world, people were loved even during this pandemic period. But our own country, they carry us on the back even when we are crying. Nobody even cares to put us down, wipe our tears, and ask, do you want to drink water or do you want to eat food? Nobody is saying all of that, but even to give us a pat while we're on the back, it doesn't happen. I just want everybody to know that you are the government for yourself. For me, do what you have to do for yourself, and anything that you can also do for others, do it. In the USA, someone got the money that the government gave and then went to a barber's pigeonhole and dropped it. And the barber said, why are you giving me this? He said, I know that you need it. Yeah, but here what we see is the rich keeps getting richer, and then the average, are there still average families anymore? I don't know. This democracy, we need to wipe off. We need to change
the rich and the poor. So there's a gap. No longer middle class. I don't know if I've given enough to continue to talk, that we still have some time to talk. Just very quickly, and somebody was asking, please, are you cooking something today? I know you mentioned that because they saw the utensils now. I wanted just to talk about very quickly. I know you have a soap there. Is that a soap or a vase?
Yeah, we have beef, we have soap, we have sensitive cooking words that we want to, talk on today on this hygiene corner.
Okay.
This spoon with the holes that are in it, sometimes when we cook and then we put it out without washing, there's a tendency that the food particles will dry in between them.
Okay.
And
like when you fry with it?
When you fry with it.
Meat, plantain?
Yeah, anything,
yes.
anything.
Anything, okay.
It could get in, and then that people would just drop this.
Yes.
Without washing it off immediately. My own advice.
Then it dries on it.
Yeah, from my own end would be drop it inside water.
Okay, that's after using
After
it.
using, drop it inside water so,
So
that you get rid of all those particles in between when you are ready to wash. Because if you don't do that, and then you pick it again after it's dried to wash, you might not get all the dirt out thoroughly. And then you pick it again and you cook, all those dirt gets back into the food. I always ask my children, if anyone is saying, I have stomach ache, the first question, I'm not a medical doctor, but the first question that comes to mind, what was the last thing you ate? Because I know that kitchen brings about the food we eat. And the food we eat has a lot to do with health.
Yeah.
What is hygiene? Hygiene has everything to do with health. And that's why today our advice is, in the kitchen, keep your high hygiene level. When you are cooking, make sure that you are washing your vegetables, you are washing everything thoroughly. When you want to eat, ensure that the cutlery that you're using are very clean as well. What about the cups? And then some of these kinds of spoons like this. That's why I brought this toothpick.
Okay.
For me, I don't even want my children to use this. It's beautiful when you buy them newly, but some people don't even have a duration to use these things, and discard them. They use them like forever. As long as it's not broken,
yes,
they keep using it. So you can use something like this to get the dirt at the corner off, because when they stick in here, the children still take it, and their mouth is going right over it.
Okay.
So it's very important that
that's
we keep
for the ones that have this design.
For the ones that
because
have
you need to show us the difference between that one and the other one. Because this other this other fork you have that. Yes, the two forks, they're two different ones. So we need to know the care for them. Do you need to soak that one like you soak the spoon that has holes on it?
Yeah, whatever cutlery you soak it. And then for me, I like to sterilize with hot water at least once every 2 weeks. Because I don't really I'm not running a restaurant, it's the ones we use at home. So once every 2 weeks, I like to get everything and boil them in hot water. At least water boiling at 100 degrees.
Yeah, you just mentioned a restaurant now, which I would like to talk about as well next time. When we go to eat in restaurants, the spoons they give to us to eat and the fork they give to us to eat with. Do we really have time to look at it to see if it's clean, or just take and begin to eat?
That's why this hygiene corner needs to be taken everywhere. The restaurants, the markets, and other places. It's your right for you to look at it properly.
Before you use
it. And when you see that it's not in a proper condition, you can ask for another one, or you ask for it to be rewashed.
Okay, thank you so much, my friend and sister. We'll have to stop you there for now. I've been told that our time is up. Thank you. We'll continue with this. It's very important because the stomach, what we take in, matters a lot. And of course, we shouldn't forget to always wash our hands.
Always. Very important.
Especially now that coronavirus is still here, COVID-19, we must always wash our hands before we eat and wash after eating, soap and running water. And of course, don't forget to wear your face mask and then keep social distance and obey all the rules and regulations and take care of yourself. Thank you so much, Ambassador Dr. Onyi Kemefona, for coming to the program today. We'll continue next week. All right, that's a package for you today. This Friday, June 12th, 2020, on the Morning Watch on Delta Rainbow Television. Next Friday, let's do it again. We'll continue about tomorrow, General Saturday edition of Morning Watch right here on Delta Rainbow Television. On behalf of the crew this morning, my producer Stella Demaria and Enifo Megidagba, my name is Zoimbe Dumus. Wishing all of you a happy celebration, and of course to all our celebrants for today, want to say a big happy birthday, congratulations. Prince Ireke Petefo is your birthday, congratulations. Monica Nonore, also of DDS Warri, congratulations, happy birthday to you. My dear friend, Mr. Sosas, happy birthday as well. My dear niece, Tamara Pere Naria, happy birthday, congratulations to all June 12 celebrants. God bless you all, and of course, enjoy your day. Remember to keep praying for Nigeria and do your part. Till we meet next time, stay safe and stay healthy.
at the present time, what we are doing now. And again, it can also show an action that is happening. It might not be exactly now. For example, I can say, and in this case, we want to do it. We use the primary auxiliary verb and the ing. What do I mean, the primary auxiliary verb? These are verbs, helping verbs, the primary auxiliary verbs. And it says show an action that is going on at the moment of speaking. Show a continuous action happening now, but not necessarily at the moment of speaking. And the primary auxiliary verb is used with the ing form of the main verb. For example, I am saying the continuous. Something is continuous. The English teacher is teaching now. Is teaching now. And we underlined it. It says is teaching now. It says in the present, it is continuous. And we use the is the primary auxiliary verb. And the teaching is the main verb. But we now have the ing to show that it is a continuous something, continuous action. Then it says she is going to church. The action might not be taking place now, but it is in the continuous form. And is also the primary auxiliary verb. And we have going. Going is the main verb, and we have the ing because it is a continuous action. Then we now move up. We have the present perfect tense. The present perfect tense. It is an action which started in the past and is still continuing in the present. In this case, we use the modal auxiliary verb, the have and the has. It says, and the participle of the main verb. It said the present perfect tense is also indicates an action which started in the past, has not been concluded. For example, I have my children have gone to the church. Have gone, have is a modal auxiliary. And gone is the past participle of go. And they say they have gone to the church. They have not returned. It is still in the present tense, but it is in the past tense because I use the past participle of the main verb go. Gone. They are still there. They have not returned. Then I say again, the plane has arrived. I did say the modals we have have and has. Has arrived. It is still at the airport. It is still on. It is in the continue. It has not been finished. It is not completed. The plane is still at the airport. Okay, let's move on. We now have the present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous tense. It means that two or more actions started at the past. But look at it, say an action that began in the past and is still continuing. This should not be confused with the present continuous tense. In the present continuous tense, the person, like I gave example, the English teacher is teaching now. But it started in the past and is still continuous. And I said, I have been teaching for 20 years. I have not stopped teaching. I might not be in the class teaching at the moment, but it is continuous. It started in the past. It has not completed. I started teaching for the past 20 years, but I have not stopped. I might not be in the class now. Then the second example, say she has been learning French since last year. She started learning French since last year, but she has not stopped. It is still in the continuous form. Then let's move on. We now have the fifth one. We have a simple past. In the simple past, it means an action started and it has been concluded. It shows an action that started and has been concluded. It can also show a habitual action, something somebody was doing in the past, but the person is no longer doing it now. We use the simple past, the simple past tense. It says this shows that an action started and was completed in the past. It also indicates a past habit which the person being referred to is no more involved in. You are no more involved in that action. Simple, it started and it is completed. For example, we attended the ceremony. Attended is in the past and it is completed. It started and it is all over. And someone say, I used to go to their house. I have stopped going to their house. At times we make the mistake by saying, I used to go to their house. When you mean that you are still going, used to means that you have stopped going. It is bad English. You see, she used to be my friend. It means that she is no longer your friend. Once you have the used to, it is now what? Past tense. It means she is no longer your friend and you're no longer going there. Then we then look at our past continuous. In the past continuous, it means an action that started in the past before something interrupted it. It started in the past. Something now interrupted it. Something happened. You say it is a thing which was in progress at a time in the past or before something interrupted it. For example, I was teaching the students when power went off. This action, it is in the past, but it is in a continuous form. I was still in the class teaching them when power went off. And my past tense there, the continuous, was teaching. The teaching there, the ing in the teaching is in a continuous form. Then I said, when the bus was moving, the woman jumped down. Was moving is the continuous verb there. The moving, the ing in the past. So let's move on. We now have the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense. And in the past perfect tense, it is used to indicate that two or more actions took place in the past, but one happened or was completed before the others. Two things started. Two things started, but the action did what? One happened before the other. And when you want to do it, the first one that happened, we usually use the past participle of the main verb and to express it. Then the second action, we use the simple past. We use the simple past. For example, we have the boy had already died before help reached him. The boy had died. Had died is the past participle. It would have been just died. But we used the first one that happened. The first action was had died before help reached him. The reached is in the simple past. Why had died is in the past participle. That's the past participle tense. Then we now have the other one. By the time I got to the office, the principal had left. The principal has left. Is what? The past participle. That was the one that happened first. Because I got to the office, the principal has left before I got to the office. And got is the what? The simple past. And we now go to the future tense. The future tense. It said this tense shows an action that is going to happen in the future. It says something that will take place in the future. And in this case, we usually use a shall and a will. The shall and will, the verb, to show that an action is in the future. And we have the example, say, I shall release the money when I have it. It has not taken place. It is still in the future. Then we now have, I will be going to the wedding tomorrow. It's still in the future tense. they are traveling tomorrow. It is still future. Then I say, I am going to the church this evening. I have not gone. Still in the future tense. And I want us to go back again to take a general look at what we have treated before, the tenses. This time we are not rushing it, the tenses. We say tenses are what? The verb form that shows the time of an action. When an action has taken place or took place or is going to take place. And I didn't mention that these verbs we have that show us the tenses. We have the present, the simple present tense. And we have the present continuous tense. And we have the present perfect tense. And we have the present perfect continuous tense. And we have the simple past. And we have the past continuous tense. And finally, we have the future tense. We have the future tense. In all these, if we look at them one after the other, the present tense will show you an action that is happening every day. That is universal truth. Something that is happening every day. Something that is habitual. And we did say that the continuous is showing an action that is in the continuous tense. And at times we use the ing of the verb and then the primary auxiliary verb. In the present perfect tense, it shows that an action started before something interrupted it. We have the present perfect continuous and in the present perfect continuous tense we use the past participle of the verb. And finally, we have the future tense. The future tense shows the action in the what? That is going to take place in the future. Has not taken place. It's still in the future. So if we actually put all these in place, knowing when to use these tenses, it will help us both in our continuous writing and in our own language once we do them. But before we go today, let's look at our assignment. The first one we have there, the first question, say what are tenses? Please try and mention the tenses and give us the correct, say, the action on the time. Then say, number 2, make 5 sentences to show 5 different tenses we have studied. Remember, we studied about 8 tenses. But I'm just asking you to give me 5 sentences to show your understanding of these tenses. Thank you for being part of this class. Stay safe. We shall meet in our next class.
Good day, student. My name is Godson Opone. I'll be taking you government on the topic colonial administration with the emphasis on French colonial administration. The other day we were looking at British colonial administration. Today we want to look at French colonial administration. These are the 2 major colonial powers in Africa and vis-a-vis in West Africa. Don't forget that when we discussed the British, we said that the British had 4 colonies. These are Nigeria, Gold Coast, which is Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Gambia. West Africa is made up of about 15 countries. Most of the other countries, apart from the 4 we just mentioned, were colonized by the French. We should also remember that this colonization and acquisition of colonies was as a result of the Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885. It was in this Berlin Conference
that the various colonies were shared among the European powers. Today, as we speak, apart from the British that is classified as a colonial power, but one, the major colonial power, the French follow the British in terms of colonies they had in Africa and outside Africa. Indeed, in looking at the French colonial policy, we must say that their method of governance was basically a direct administration with the headquarters based in Dakar, Senegal. In proper administration of the colonies, these colonies were governed separately, unlike the British. We'll move ahead to the various policies that was adopted. Indeed, the policy that was adopted by the French were basically two: the policy of assimilation and the policy of association. The assimilation policy, which I call assimilado, is a system that involves a situation where the French wanted to change everything about the Africans: their language, their religion, their mode of dressing, their culture. They felt that these African culture, language, and religion and whatever were inferior to their own culture, language, and their food and everything. So they wanted to change. That is what they wanted to assimilate. They wanted to consume. They wanted to involve. That is what the assimilation policy is all about. They adopted that policy, but along the line, that policy kind of failed. As we move along, we are going to be seeing some of the reasons why the assimilation policy indeed failed. Much later, because of the unsuccessful nature of the assimilation policy, the French later on adopted the association policy, which we are still going to look much later as we move along. Now let's take the next subheading. So we are taking the features of the French policy of assimilation. The first feature there is direct rule. When we talk about direct rule, these colonies were governed directly. There were no intermediaries, unlike the British. Apart from governing the people directly, we had a situation where the French colonial administration of assimilation had its headquarters in Dakar, Senegal, with a governor general that is in charge of the entire different colonies in West Africa, unlike the British, where each of the colonies had their own governor general. Number two, there we have the unification of French colonies. When we talk about the unification of the French colonies, all the colonies, were governed under one umbrella, with the headquarters in Dakar, Senegal. Number three, we had the supervision. We talked about superiority of French culture. In my introduction, I was telling you about the assimilation policy that talked about that everything about the French was superior to the Africans. They felt that the African language, the African religion, their ways of dressing was inferior. So they wanted to change these Africans to become the French. As we move along, we'll be talking about the issue of the Frenchified Africans. Africans that kind of had to be changed and be given French citizenship. That is what we're talking about in terms of the Frenchified African. We'll talk about the fourth point, centralization. Paris served as the basis of centralized administration. Despite the fact that the Governor General was situated in Dakar, Paris, which is the capital of France, still remained the headquarters, the overall head in terms of French colonial administration in West Africa. Number five there talked about French citizenship status on Africans. The policy of assimilation was accorded African people French citizenship status. And this provided a situation where Africans were not only Africans, but they were given the privilege to be French citizens. We even saw a situation where they were even elected into the French parliament. there was little or no discrimination, unlike the British. Number 6 there talked about absorption into French political system. Yes, just like as I said earlier on, they were elected into the French parliament. You can imagine as at that period, already Africans were already participating with the French, these white colonialists, in legislation, in parliamentarianism. These are some of the features of the policy of assimilation. We want to look at factors responsible for the failure of this policy. Remember, along the line, I told you that the assimilation policy that was firstly adopted by the French failed before they now adopted the association policy. Now, what are the reasons that led to the failure of the assimilation policy? 1, the policy of assimilation introduced direct administration, which required heavy financial commitment from the central government in France. Indeed, be it the British or the French, they were not ready to spend their home finances, their home country finances, as the case may be. The policy of colonialism believed that most of the revenue they generated from the territories was plugged back into those territories. So it involves a lot of financial commitment when we look at the policy of assimilation. Number 2 there talked about the policy failed because it was rigid and discriminatory in its application to the people in the interior and those in the communes. Indeed, despite the fact that we said that there was no much discrimination, there was discrimination. Along the line, we are going to see a situation where some people were given privilege to gain an easy access to become French citizens, especially those people that were living in the communes, those first communes. When we talk about the communes, we are talking about the towns. Those towns were referred to as communes. What are those towns? We talk about Dakar, Rafinsky, St. Louis, and Gore, which we are going to see along the line. Those people, so it was relatively very discriminatory. We look at the third point there, the preference of the African people for their culture and ways of life made it impossible for them to drop their culture for that of the French. Indeed, Africans stood their ground. It's not easy to just change people and change their ways of life, change their language, their religion, their dressing, even the food they eat. And they wanted them to become, to automatically change to become French in all ramifications. It was not easy. So that contributed to the failure of the assimilation policy. The number 4 point there talked about the type of education introduced contributed to the failure. Western education, which the Muslims rejected. Be it the British, be it the French, they introduced Western type of education. As much as possible, it was accepted by a sector or a section of the populace, but it was rejected by another section of the populace, which the Muslims rejected the Western education as at the period under review. We move into the 5th point there. French and African scholars criticized the adoption of assimilation as a policy that never meant good for the people of the region. Those educated allies, they felt that the policy of assimilation was not beneficial to the Africans, probably as a result of an automatic change in the overall attitude of the Africans. Remember, that was what the assimilation policy is all about. And indeed, it failed as a policy. We'll move to the next subheading, which has to talk about the policy of association. The policy of association. Like as I said earlier on, with the failure of the assimilation policy, the French now adopted a second style of governance. That second style of governance is what is referred to as the association policy. What is the association policy all about? The association policy simply means a situation where the French wanted to associate with the Africans. This time around, they are no longer going to say your culture, your language, your religion is inferior. Keep your religion, keep your culture, keep everything about you people as Africans. But we are going to lord over you, we are going to supervise you, we are going to associate with you. That is exactly what the association policy is all about. And to a large extent, it succeeded as compared to the assimilation policy. We'll move ahead. We want to look at some of the features of the association policy. Just like as we talked about the features of the assimilation policy, we want to look at some of the features of the association policy. The number one point there talked about the association granted some autonomy to the people, recognized the authority of traditional rulers, as well as used some other natives in the administration of local areas. This time around, a lot relative autonomy was given to the colonies to administer and govern themselves, taking into consideration of the traditional rulers. Although the traditional rulers were not intermediaries like the British. We go to the second point there. It decentralized the political structure and allowed each local territory to develop at its own pace. Most of these territories, remember, we had only one governor general that is situated in Dakar, Senegal. Each of the colonies had a lieutenant governor, what is called a lieutenant governor, and they develop at their own pace, supervised generally from the headquarters based in Dakar. The third point there talked about the Africans are no longer regarded as French citizens, but an inferior people where people were subjected to dehumanizing experiences such as forced labor. Indeed, as we move along, we are going to see a situation where we even had the indignant policy. The indignant policy. But before that, we'll talk about forced labor. And they are saying that, yes, this French system of association was relatively discriminatory in its adoption. Now, features of the French colonial administration. One, the French system of administration was divided into two, direct and indirect administration, with 4 towns which are referred to as communes. These towns are Dakar, Rafinsky, St. Louis, and Gorée. Africans that were living in these towns were granted automatic French citizens, which are referred to as Frenchified citizens, whereas others had to pass through some processes of such as understanding the French language before being Frenchified as a French citizen. Okay, well, we'll talk about the second point there. We're talking about there was the existence of the indignant law or indignant policy in which members of the commune received French education from government secondary school called École Normale William Ponty. Like I earlier on said, let's separate the two things. The indignant policy is a draconian law, an obnoxious law, where French, those that are not French citizens, can easily be arrested, persecuted, and immediately they go to jail, giving or no respite or no chance to kind of defend themselves. And the aspect of École Normale William Ponty has to do with the secondary school, the only secondary school that is available then, where for you to become a French citizen, you must have attended that school. And behold, you will now be made as or be given the French citizen and be a Frenchified citizen. The third point there has to do with also for easy administration, each of the French colonies was divided into provinces or circles. These circles were further divided into cantons or villages under the charge of a chief. Yes, I told you not quite long that the various towns were referred to as cantons, whereas the smaller provinces ordinarily are circles, and they were governed separately in terms of the general administration of the French, be it the assimilation policy or the association policy. We'll move ahead to, before we look at the assignment, let us take a general preview of what I've just explained. Remember, my explanation has to do with the major heading, which is colonial administration. We said that colonial administration is divided into two. British colonial administration, which we've already talked about previously, and French colonial administration. The syllabus of WAEC and NECO has picked these two colonial powers. It's not as if they are the only colonial countries or colonial power in the world, but they were the two major colonial powers because they had more colonies. The British were the major colonial powers, taking into consideration the Commonwealth of Nations, before we not talk about the French. The French adopted two policies. We said that the two policies, one of them is the policy of assimilation and the policy of association. What is the assimilation all about? The assimilation policy, which I call assimilado, is a policy that says that everything about the Africans, their language, their culture, their religion, the kind of food they eat was inferior to that of the French. So the French wanted to assimilate, to change these Africans to become French citizens. They were sincere in their approach, unlike the British. That was when invariably, that is what we're talking about. We talk about the assimilation policy. But again, the assimilation policy failed because it's not easy for the Africans to change their ways of life, to change their culture, to change their tradition, their ways of dressing. Because of the failure of the assimilation policy, the French decided to adopt a second style of governance. That second style of governance is what is referred to as the association policy. What is the association policy all about? The association policy simply means a situation where the French this time around are saying that, okay, we are going to allow your culture, your tradition, everything about you people to remain. We are going to associate with you. We are going to supervise you. We are going to lord over you. That is what the association policy is all about. To a large extent, the association policy worked out in terms of the overall French colonial administration. Along the line, we talked about some of the features of both the assimilation policy and the association policy. We also looked at the general features of French colonial administration. Now let's look at some of the assignment I want to give to you so that you can do your homework. The first one there is, why did the French abandon the policy of association? West African Examination Council 2011, question 7. The second assignment I want you to also look at is, outline 3 reasons for the adoption of the policy of assimilation in the French West African colonies. That's for 2A. For 2B, identify 2 achievements of the policy of assimilation. Again, WAEC 2015, question 7. And we'll take the final assignment there, explain the meaning and features of the French colonial policy of assimilation in West Africa. NECO 2008, question 7. These are the assignments I expected you to study and work on. Once again, my name is Godson Opone. Thank you for listening to today's lesson.
All right, we hope that all our students, you learned something from the online class this morning, right here on Delta Rainbow Television, Warri. Now the class will continue tomorrow from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. All right, still on to Delta Rainbow Television, where it remains signals of unity in line with Democracy Day celebration, which is today, and also a public holiday. We went round town to sample opinion of Nigerians on Nigerians' democracy issues and the way forward. Now just sit back, relax, and enjoy the clip.
June become topical because of the election that involved MKO Abiola in June 1993. The military government at the helm of affairs under the leadership of General Ibrahim Babangida, who tagged himself as a military president, conducted election from the local government to House of Assembly to governor, and that of the presidential election was moved to June 12th. And behold, Bashir MKO Abiola contested with Tofa, and Alhaji Babagana Kigibe was his vice running mate. Incidentally, or fortunately and unfortunately too, Bashir MKO Abiola was a Muslim. Babagana Kigibe was also a Muslim. So their election was a watershed election, because the election that took place in that June 12, 1993, did not recognize ethnicity, did not recognize religions, because Abiola himself, who came from the south, was a Muslim from the west, from the southwest, and Babagana Kigibe also, that came from the north, was also a Muslim. And because Nigerians were tired of the military rule, military administration that brought Nigeria back to economic adversity and other political democratic affairs, Nigerians were fully ready, fully prepared to go about that election. And that June 12, Nigerians came out en masse without any problem, without any hindrance. That election was conducted in a free and fair manner. The election was very free, very fair, and there was no taint of anything about the election. And Bashir MKO Abiola won the election and supposed to be sworn in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But behold, from nowhere, the military president, then General Ibrahim Babangida, without any justifiable reason, came up and annoyed the election. The election was annoyed. Nigeria became in crisis. There was turmoil everywhere. There was agitation from every quarter that election that Abiola won should not be annulled.